Chapter 4, Section 3, we're going to start talking about congruent triangles, okay? Now, in general, if two figures have exactly the same size and shape, that's when they are congruent, okay? So they can be rotated and reflected so that their position is different, but they still have to be exactly the same size and exactly the same shape, okay? So these figures here, 1, 2, and 3, these are all congruent figures. 4, 5, and 6, they're the same shape, but since they aren't the same size, they are not congruent, okay? They are similar, and we'll talk about similarity in chapter 7. Okay, but in two congruent polygons, all of the corresponding parts are congruent as well. Okay, so those parts that match up with each other are also congruent if we know that the shapes are congruent, okay? So we're going to look at this first example here. And if you are a person that benefits from the use of colors, I would highly suggest that you get some colors, okay? If colors don't do it for you, then that's fine. You don't need them, okay? So if we're looking here, these two figures are marked with congruent marks, okay? So if we're going to match corresponding angles, angle B has one arc, angle J has a second arc. Okay, so angle B is congruent to angle J. All right, angle A has two arcs, angle H has two arcs. Okay, so those two angles are congruent. And then C and K all have three congruence marks. So angle C is congruent to angle K. All right. Now, matching these corresponding angles is really important for when we get to writing our congruent statement, okay? But first, we're going to talk about corresponding sides, okay? Opposite angle B with 3 tick marks is AC. Opposite angle J with 3 tick marks is KH. And so AC then is congruent to KH. All right. Opposite angle A with 2 tick marks is BC. And BC is going to be congruent to KJ. And then last but not least, with 1 tick mark each, BA is congruent to HJ. Okay. And so those corresponding parts are just the parts that match up. Okay. To write the congruent statement, it does not matter what order you write your first part in. Okay. So here, if I say triangle, we'll go BAC. Okay. B was our pink angle, or the angle with 1 tick mark. A had 2 and C had 3. Okay, so that order of that first one does not matter, but when we write our second one, our names have to correspond to each other. Okay, so B and J corresponded, so J has to come first. A and H corresponded, so H has to come second. And then C and K corresponded to each other, so K has to come last. Okay, so when we write these congruent statements, the order of the congruent statement has to match. Okay, so down here, list all corresponding angles and sides, then write the congruent statement. Okay, so just matching, angle A and angle W are corresponding. Angle B and angle X are corresponding. Angle C and angle Y are corresponding, and then angle D and angle Z. Okay. And then here, AB has 2 tick marks. WX has 2 tick marks. BC and XY have 1 tick mark apiece. They're corresponding. Okay. CD has 4. YZ has 4. So they are corresponding. All right. And then AD has 3, just like WZ has 3. Okay. So these are all of our corresponding angles. These are our corresponding sides. And again, once we've got the angles matched, I think that is easiest then to write the congruent statement. Okay, ABCD, that polygon is going to be congruent to WXYZ. Okay, so use these corresponding pairs to help write your congruent statement. Okay. Second example here. We're going to go through this relatively quickly. Okay. P to G, Q to F, R to E, S to D. Okay. Then we've got PQ with 1 tick mark, corresponds to FG, QR to, oh gosh, QR has 3, FE has 3. Okay, RS to ED, and then PS to GD. Okay, and that congruent statement we can pull from here. Okay, PQRS, that polygon is congruent to GFE, whoops, not E, ED. Okay, I want you to try number 3 on your own, and then check your work in the completed notes. Okay, we're going to jump to number 4. Number 4, it tells us that ABC is congruent to DFE. Okay, so we're trying to find values of X and Y. Okay, since this only has 1 variable, but this one has 2, I'm going to start with finding Y first. Okay, Y is angle F, and so I'm going to use the congruent statement here to help pick out the corresponding part. Okay, F comes second. B also comes second. Okay, so B and F are corresponding, so I'm going to set 99 equal to 8y minus 5. Okay. Then to solve for y, I add 5 to both sides. 8y equals 104. If I divide both sides by 8, I believe y then is 13. Okay, now I have a y value, so I'm going to put that in here. So rather than 2y plus x, 2 times 13 is 26. So this expression I'm going to rewrite as 26 plus x. Okay. Now 26 plus x is the segment FE. Okay, FE here corresponds to BC. So I'm going to set 26 plus x equal to 38.4. If I subtract 26 from both sides, that gives me an x value of 12.4. Okay. Example 5 here, I'm going to look at RS. Okay, RS, that comes first and second. So that corresponds to TV. Okay, I'm going to set 2y minus 1 equal to 24. Add 1,